The 8th Cricket World Cup was played over 5 weeks in South Africa, Zimbabwe in February-March 2003. Australia won the final, thrashing India for the second time in the tournament. India's Sachin Tendulkar was the highest impact player of the tournament for his riveting batting and part-time bowling, which is remarkable given that he did not get a tournament-defining performance. Only two Australians did, Andrew Symonds and captain Ricky Ponting. Symonds for his 91 against Sri Lanka in the semi-final and Ponting for his unbeaten 140 against India in the final. Andrew Symonds was the most significant story of this World Cup. Before this tournament, not many were convinced he was a consistent or reliable enough player to play at this level, but his captain Ponting's unwavering faith in him paid off. Symonds just failed once in his 5 innings and produced 2 huge knocks under pressure. First, with Australia at 86 for 4, he produced a jaw-dropping unbeaten 143 of 125 balls to take Australia to 310 that helped significantly in winning the match comfortably. And later, in the semi-final, he came out to bat at 51 for 3. His unbeaten 91 of 118 balls took Australia to 212, from where the Australian bowlers demolished Sri Lanka. He did not need to bat in the final against India, thanks mainly to Ricky Ponting, whose 140 of 128 balls took Australia to 359 batting first, an unthinkable target at the time. Otherwise, Australia were not as strong a side as the 99 team or the one that would win again in 2007. McGrath was not at his consistent best and Shane Warne was missing. Warne had been banned from playing when he failed a drug test early on in the tournament, much to his captain's horror. That Australia still went on to win as they did speaks a lot for how they rallied together. In fact, astonishingly, all 14 members in their squad registered an impact of at least 1, which has never happened before or since with any side. This means every single one of them pulled their weight in the side. 9 out of those 14 had an impact over 2, which means they loosely did the job of more than 2 players. This kind of cohesiveness in any team is the stuff of envy and legend. Keep in mind that Australia were in trouble several times in the tournament. Against Pakistan, 86 for 4 when Symonds bailed them out. Against England, 135 for 8 chasing 205 when Michael Bevan and Andy Bickle took them home. Against New Zealand, 84 for 7 when Bickle and Bevan again took them to safety. Even against Kenya, they were 117 for 5 chasing 175 when Symonds and Harvey took charge. And in the semi-final, 51 for 3 when Symonds, Lemon and Bickle took Australia to a winning total in a low-scoring game. Andy Bickles is an interesting story. He bowled very well in the 8 matches he played in, including a 7 for 20 in a match against England. In that same match, he produced an unbeaten 34 after Australia won from 135 for 8, chasing 205. A jaw-dropping all-round performance and the second highest impact performance ever in the history of the World Cup after Gary Gilmore's in 1975. Conventionally, his 16 wickets at 12 apiece seems far more significant than the 117 runs he scored in 3 innings, but his batting impact is 46% more than his bowling impact. He was the second highest impact batsman in the tournament after Andrew Symonds. Sounds insane, right? But in every one of his 3 innings, he absorbed immense pressure and helped Australia win. In fact, because of this, it turns out he absorbed the most pressure by any batsman in this tournament for any team. A stunning fact for a player in a team that won the tournament so convincingly in the end. Bickle struck the highest notes of his career here. His 2 highest impact batting performances and his highest impact bowling performance ever came here. A somewhat bizarre story in this World Cup was that of West Indian paceman Vasper Drakes. He played just 5 matches and took 16 wickets at 13 apiece, out of which 10 wickets were against Canada and Kenya. Even after accounting for weaker opposition, he comes out as the highest impact bowler in the tournament. He was consistent and steady against the stronger sides and demolished the weaker opposition. It brought him results that made him the highest impact by default. This was because none of the Australian bowlers stood out in the tournament to the extent of registering a tournament-defining performance. and none of the other bowlers from the other semi-finalist teams did anything special, except to an extent Zahir Khan against Kenya. That, coupled with Drake's consistency, wherein he did not fail even once in his 5 matches, made him the highest impact bowler in a tournament, which eventually did not produce a single player who crossed 3 only for his bowling overall in the tournament. 4 batsmen did though: Simons, Bickle, Ramnaresh Sarwan and Tendulkar. Tendulkar was brilliant in the tournament, his 98 of 75 balls against Pakistan being one of the great World Cup innings. Despite not getting a tournament-defining performance since India lost and he failed in the final anyway, he was the tournament's highest impact player, his part-time bowling contributing to that too. Salmons got a tournament-defining performance but had a 44% failure rate. Ponting got one too with a 27% failure rate. Tendulkar's was 18%. Ganguly and Dravid were the next highest impact players for India in the tournament. Ganguly was second highest after Tendulkar in terms of number of runs scored, but he had a 55% failure rate and did nothing against the stronger sides. Dravid scored 147 runs less than Ganguly but had a higher impact because of his more crucial performances against stronger sides and for his trademark ability to absorb pressure. These two were followed by the bowlers, Zahir Khan and Javagal Srinath first. Kumble played just 3 games and was not at his best. Sadly, the entire Indian bowling lost its marbles in the final against Australia. The batting had lost its way against Australia in the group match. These 2 matches against Australia were the only ones India lost in the tournament. In a particularly important match, defending 250, Ashish Nehra led to England's destruction with 6 for 23 in 10 overs as they were extinguished for 168. He was the man of the match, but not the highest impact player. That was Andrew Flintoff, who took 2 for 15 in 10 overs and then came out to bat at 62 for 5, scored 64 in 73 balls and was 9th out at 162, ending England's challenge. Flintoff played just 5 matches but was the 3rd highest impact player of the tournament after Tendulkar and Simons. Kenya and Zimbabwe got walkovers from England and New Zealand, and Kenya's shock defeat of Sri Lanka in the group stage and then Zimbabwe in the Super 6 took them to the semi-finals. Captain Steve Ticolo was the highest impact player, one of the 3 with an impact of over 2 in the tournament. Though undeserving semi-finalist perhaps, it would remain Kenya's greatest cricketing moment. Their coach, by the way, was champion India's highest impact batsman from the 1983 World Cup, Sandeep Patil. South Africa lost to West Indies, New Zealand and then tied against Sri Lanka as they failed to calculate correctly in a rain-affected situation and did not even reach the Super 6, thus joining Australia's 1992 team and England's 1999 team to be humiliated home teams. West Indies' 2007 team would join them next time around. Australia won their 2nd title in a row as they equalled West Indies' record. The team covered up for Shane Warne's absence in spectacular style as a team, united and very hard to get past. As 2007 would show, they were hardly done yet.